Hey, what's up, everybody? Kenji here. Today I'm here in Bellevue, and I got a special guest. She's a social media superstar, actually, and she'll laugh at that, but it's completely true. Everybody who knows her just thinks the world of her, and so do I. So get to know her, and her name is Kathy Gill, and she's doing cool stuff with social media. She teaches it at the U, digital communication, digital media. Both undergrad and grad, and yeah, without further ado, here she is. So, Kathy, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome, Kenji.
And so, you love social media. You blog, you're on Twitter, you're everywhere. You teach it. What is your interest with it?
Well, it is the direction of communication for the 21st century. So if I'm going to be helping people understand how to navigate that landscape, I have to play in the sandbox.
Right. Very cool. And so you're out there playing.
I'm out there playing.
You're everywhere, Kathy Gill. You're everywhere.
I'm not everywhere.
Okay. Well, she doesn't believe it, but I believe it.
I'm not on Bright Kite very much. All
right. And so we all kind of have that moment where we're just like, wow, that there's something to this. This isn't just a fad like a lot of people think it is.
Right.
What was that for you?
Well, my Twitter wow came back in the spring. I was in Georgia, which is where I'm from, and if I talk long enough, you'll hear my accent. And my 81-year-old dad looked at me across the dinner table and said, "Kathy, what is Twitter?" Now, my dad uses his Mac Mini to play solitaire, okay? So I started laughing, and I said, "Daddy, where did you hear about Twitter?" And he said, "On television." And it was at that point that I realized just how mainstream the mind share for Twitter had become. Not necessarily the use, because we know its use is not mainstream yet, but its mind share had reached some sort of amazing every man, if my 81-year-old dad had heard of it.
Wow, so is your dad on Twitter?
Are you kidding? My dad uses his computer for solitaire.
Okay.
So let me just give a little plug here for people who are interested in the digital divide. Digital divide is very real. My dad lives in rural South Georgia, where connectivity is 28.8 modem maybe.
Wow.
Right. So he's 10 miles outside of the closest town, which is 20 miles outside of the closest big city. Yeah. So digital divide is a real thing.
Oh, wow. Amazing. All right. Well, so one thing in relation to social media that I've been thinking about is how it's changed my life, and it really has. I mean, in the short time that I've been involved. Now, I'm curious about you. How has it changed your life?
Well, the current social media space, and by that I mean things from 2009, Social Media Club is part of that, but just the Twitter online connection that's moved offline, my social life has picked up. So I'm doing more networking, the traditional kind, the face-to-face kind. I'm doing more lunches, I'm going to more meetings. And I almost feel like I'm back in the 80s when I did PR for a living, because I have almost that kind of activity in my evenings and lunches, and I haven't had that in probably 10 years.
I completely agree with you. I can't believe it. Like, there's usually one or two things going on per week, and if there's nothing going on, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with my time?
What am I missing?
I feel so left out. Wow.
So that's one thing. And then another thing is, since I've been online, and I've been online since, 92 or 93, the connections with people who were once part of my life but no longer are because of geography, I've been able to reconnect and maintain. And so it was originally email, right?
Right.
And now it's Facebook, and I'm probably like just about every other boomer out there who was kind of early to Facebook. All of my high school friends and people from college, are gravitating to Facebook and sending friend requests, and that's all happened in the last 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so it's really picked up for you.
It's picked up, I think, as boomers have just sort of like learned or discovered this medium. Woo, Facebook. Yes.
So you've kind of been involved in this space for quite a bit.
Yes.
I mean, how many years would you say?
Well, I was first online in 92 or 93. I built a gubernatorial website in 95. I rode the .com boom.
Okay.
I crashed with everyone else. And so I've been doing all of this quite a while, back when there were no classes and hardly any books. Well, there were no books. the blogging, it cracks me up. I set my first blog up, I think, in '99, and I thought, oh, isn't this cute? Isn't this clever? It's like an automatic transmission for cars. And I was teaching code. So to me, it was like this cute thing, but I didn't see the communications implications of the ease of use.
I see. So, okay, so since you've been involved for so long, for you, what has been the biggest surprise as to like where we are today and how we're using it? What?
Oh wow, the biggest surprise?
Yeah, I mean there's something.
I don't know. Maybe the whole free business, the
Freemium model.
The freemium model. I did spend a lot of time thinking about the economics of this space until 2 years ago when I started teaching a class in digital economics. And I'm just about finished with Chris Anderson's Free. And a lot of what he's saying I've been talking about in class, but he says it so much better. It's like brings it all together. And I now, for example, understand why the Twitter people aren't worried about a business model. And that's a huge change. I mean, I used to be one of those people, well, you know, they'll figure it out. There'll be a business model. I'm not really worried about it. But in the back of your mind, you're kind of going, well, I don't know. But now, understanding that scale and bringing that body of people for the network effects is actually perhaps more important than figuring out right now what your business model is going to be in a year or two. That's pretty new to me. So that's a unexpected kind of wow thing.
Right. Wow. That whole freemium model is pretty crazy, though. I mean, I know some people who are consulting, and they're finding that people are saying, "Hey, well, all this stuff is free. You know, it's all out there. I can find it. Why do I need you?"
Well, you need your consultants sometimes to help you buy time. So one of the things that Chris talks about really well in this book that's a basic of economic theory is the trade-off between time and money. And so we use consultants, if we use them well, to buy their time, their expertise, so that we don't have to go out and spend 6 months figuring out things. We can say, help us figure out things so that we can do them in a month instead of 6 months or a year.
I see. Yeah, no, that's a very valid point. So, quickly, last question. You're teaching a Twitter class. You're building a book. Could you tell me a little bit about it?
So we're teaching a class on Twitter, but it's not like how do you use Twitter. It is how are organizations using Twitter today. And we recognize that this is a snapshot, a point in time. Things may change, but we're looking for best practices. In other words, what are the universals that organizations who are going to use Twitter need to know? And yes, we're doing an ebook. It will be published through Lulu. So it will be PDF, Adobe PDF, Kindle, or print on demand.
Very, very cool.
Hopefully this fall. Yes.
So what's the name of the book?
We're crowdsourcing the name at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have no name. Right now it's just the UW Twitter book.
Okay, and so you stream every Tuesday?
Yes, we stream every Tuesday. You stream K.E. Gill or go to UWTWTR book on Twitter and you'll get our URL.
All right, very cool. So everybody, Kathy Gill, thank you for your time.
Thank you.